Welcome to Beaded Doilies by Shell. In this video, I will be creating one of my letter squares, and I will be using the diamond weave. To learn more about the diamond weave, please visit these websites. Now, when using the diamond weave, it is a one needle stitch. So I add tape at the end of my string to keep the beads from falling off. And for the faceted bead art patterns, you will start at the top left corner and you'll add your first 4 beads in this order. So we need 4 background color. Let them come all the way down to your holder, and then you'll go through the first 2 again in the same direction you threaded through them the first time. And there you have on your first 4 beads. Then you'll add the next 4 beads in the same order. So we need 2 background and 2 design color. Let them come all the way down. Then you find the first 2, go through them again in the same direction as you thread through the first time. And there you have your first 2 sets of beads. And you add your next set. So we need 3 background and a design. Them come down, find those first 2, thread through them again, and that gives you your 3rd set of beads. The last set is added in the same order. We'll need 4 background colors. Now for the last set, I first go through all 4 beads again. And then I go through the top 2 again. And that gives me my 4th set for the top row. And then I want to go through the second side bead so that my string is coming down towards where I'll be adding the next row. Now the new row we add in this order. So we'll add 4 background colors. Let it come down, and then you see where your string is coming out, and you go through the next 2 bottom beads of your first row or previous row. And sometimes that end one will stay that way, or you can twist it a little bit so that your previous one will keep its shape. Now we've added these, now we're going to 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, we want 4 background colors. We see where our string is coming out of the bottom of the previous row, and we go through the next 2 beads. There it is. And don't worry about if your the beads you just added are twisted. We will be untwisting them in a few minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need 2 design colors. And 2 background colors. And we find where our string is coming out, and we go through the next 2 beads. Now our last 4 are added in the same order. So we need 4 background colors. And for the last set of beads on a row, we want to find that first bead we just added, go through it again in the same direction we threaded through the first time. And there we have our last 4. Now we want to turn towards our previous set of beads, untwist them, and we want to go up through the first one towards the previous row, and then down the second one away from the previous row. We get that, and there we have the first 2 sets. Find the next one, which is here. It's already untwisted, so we find the first top bead of that set, go towards the previous row, and then find the second one and go away from the previous row. And there we have that. And then we find the last one. It too is untwisted, so we just find the first top bead of the 4, go towards the previous row, and the second top bead we go away from the previous row. And there we have our first 2 rows of beads. Now we want to go through that side bead again, so we are coming down towards where we're going to be adding our next set of beads. And we add them in the same order as the previous row. We're going to add 4 background colors. Then we'll go through the next 2 beads on the previous row. like I said, don't worry about if they twist up. That we'll be untwisting them as we come back. And we add the next 4 beads. Also all background color. And we go through the next 2 in the previous row. Now we need to design and 2 background. Then we go through the next 2 beads on the bottom of our previous row. And we add our last 4 beads, all background color. Oh, and for the last set, we go through that first bead we added again in the same direction as the previous threading. Then we find the previous set of beads, untwisted if needed, and we find the first top bead and we go towards the previous row. And then we find the second top bead and go away from the previous row. And we untwist the next set. We go towards the previous row. And then away from the previous row. And then the last set, go towards, oops, and then we go away. And that finishes up our 3rd row. Now we want to go through that side bead, so we're coming down towards where we'll be adding the last row. And we'll add it in the same order. Put on 4 background colors. And we see where our string is, and we go through the next 2 bottom beads of the previous row. We add 3 and a design color. We go through the next 2, the bottom of the previous row. Now we add a design, 2 background, and a design. And we go through the next 2 beads on the bottom row, or the previous row. And we add our last 4 beads, all background color. Then we find that first bead again, and we go through it. Then we work our way back again, making sure that our beads are untwisted. We go up the top set, we go up towards our previous row, and then we go down away. Then we untwist if needed, and we go up towards the previous row, and then down away. And then the last set, we go up towards and down away. Now the way this stitch is done, the top and one side has all the beads connected, but the bottom and the other side do not, so we stitch along the bottom, just going in and out of all of the beads along the bottom. And then we also go up the side. Another advantage to this is it brings both of our strings together, so then we are able to tie a knot, which most one needle stitches you have to secure each string separately. Now I'll remove the tape, and then I will tie my knot, which I do a single, and then I do a double overhand, bring it down without pulling tight, then I go in that corner bead and I work so that the knot is actually inside the bead. Once it is, then I pull tight, and then I thread through my work a little bit so that the string is not right next to the bead when I the knot when I trim it, and that helps prevent it from over time working loose. Just go a little bit of ways. And then I trim off the excess. And there we have our faceted bead art letter square. Hope you enjoyed.